up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back. We're here for another live stream. This time is just me, no guests. Let me make sure I'm not muted. All right. So I hope everyone has been enjoying the holidays or is getting ready for the holidays. We got what do we got? Well, it depends on where if you celebrate Christmas or not or whatever you celebrate. And we also have the New Year, so I hope you guys are enjoying that wherever you are. Feel free to put in the comment section where you're watching from. And also shout out to the people who are watching on the replay. Shout out to you guys. Today we're going to be talking about if iOS development is still worth learning in 2024. Because this is a question I've seen thrown around and I've been asked myself, and I've thought about it too, because there's a lot going on in the tech space and just in the world in general. So it's something worth thinking about. Mhm. Hey Vadim, good. Yeah, good. It's good afternoon here. It's 1 p.m. If you're on the West Coast, it's probably good morning, but I'm assuming you're further out there in the world. Where is good evening, Estonia. Shout out to Robert. Robert's always checking in. I'm waiting for where's Anthony? Anthony's been to almost all these live streams, so we'll see if he makes it to the this one. Estonia. We got Robert in here from El Paso. Oh, Mert. What's up, Mert? All right, so shall we get this ball rolling? So we're talking about is iOS development still worth learning in 2024? Because it's a question that's it's worth considering. And I see there's like two main things that are playing a role in that like question. The first one is AI has like all the attention right now and all the hype, right? So anything in the tech space is all about AI, which is kind of funny because it was just about VR like a few years ago, but now now it's all about AI. And the other thing too that's playing a role is the overall market is down. Like you don't have as much money going around to fund startups, and those startups they just like to burn money, and and that's what keeps us developers employed and keeps our pockets full. So yeah, though those two things are I'd say those are the two biggest reasons people have been asking that. And one thing to note too about the AI part is the whole the whole story about AI replacing developers, which I don't really buy, to be honest. I think it'll enhance developers, make developers a lot more productive, but replacing them, I don't know. It kind of sounds like the when the self-driving cars were coming around like 2 3 years ago, and it's a similar, well not similar, but it's machine learning related. That was something everybody was talking about, but look where we are now. Look where we are now. So that's why I'm a little iffy about that. But moving on from that, just talking about iOS and yeah, iOS development in general, like one thing that I recently found out is 87% of teenagers in the US have iPhones, which is crazy, which is really crazy. Like 90% of teens in the US have iPhones. And to be honest, I don't really know anybody in the US who owns an Android. I think maybe some family members, but friends, all my friends own iPhones. But I mean, that's not a great statistic, but the one to really focus on is the 87% of teens because those are like lifetime customers, right? Because Apple does a great job of the whole ecosystem they create, and leaving that you kind of not that it's impossible, it just creates some friction and makes it very hard. So that's one of the main reasons, and to be honest, that was really surprising. Like pretty much 90% of US teens have iPhones. So I don't think iOS Apple devices are going anywhere. So that's something to think about. excuse me. I know in developing markets it might be a little different, but in the US, which is, I mean, I'm not I don't know if it's I mean, it's one of the highest. It's one of the ones where people want to enter, and it's one of the most lucrative in terms of, especially for App Store and apps. They people are willing to spend on apps. Oh, I see. Vadim says in the end, payment comes from adults. Yeah, but I'm talking about the future because those teens will be adults in the future, and them being they're pretty much becoming lifetime customers for Apple. So it's not like Apple devices are going to go anywhere, and it's not like so that means that iOS development will still be around, right? How many apps do people actually use? That's a good question. I did not look into that. And one thing to note about apps too is when it comes to building an app, it's not like people build an Android app and not an iPhone app and vice versa. So that's also something to consider. And moving and beyond apps, something that is very crucial or important to think about, and people are really they're not thinking about it that much because we really don't know what's gonna happen, is like the Vision Pro stuff, because that has potential to be game changing. But you haven't really heard much about it because I think Apple, they haven't even announced when it is. But that's something to keep your eyes on, and that's something that you can, like, as a iOS developer, you can easily start working on because it's all built in Swift UI. Not built in Swift UI, but you can build apps for Vision Pro in Swift UI. And with that, like, you don't like, if that takes off, it could be like another early days of App Store where like a very simple app is making, I don't know, like a few $1,000s. So that's something to consider, and that's something that that really might, well, not that really might happen, but it's always weird. Well, at least the way I see it, it's kind of weird because Apple, the way they release products, they do a really good job. I think they've had a few flops, right? But when it comes to releasing like a physical product, especially something that's of high value, they do a great job with the marketing and the end result. So that's something to really keep in mind. And lastly, I want to wrap up talking about cross-platform a little bit because I did some research in cross-platform, and that's another thing that people bring up when it comes to like not learning iOS development and saying that it's what do you call it? That it might not be best to learn because maybe you should learn cross-platform. But the cross-platforms is still very young, and like you can tell when you're using an app that's built on the cross platform. And if like, and I've looked up like the two big players in the cross platform are Flutter and React Native. And I believe for Flutter, I couldn't find any huge app or company that's using it. I think BMW uses Flutter. But other than that, I didn't see any company that was or big company using Flutter. And when it comes to React Native, the biggest one was Facebook, but that's because they created it. And if you look into it, they still use iOS stuff. Like, it's not like everything is React Native. I think it's like split in a percentage. And other than Facebook, I think Walmart, that was interesting. Walmart's app is built in React Native. And it is a little clunky, but it's like Walmart is not if you're from the US, it's not like it's not meant to be high I don't want to say high standards, but it's not Whole Foods or something. Right? It's Walmart, so they went with React Native, and I mean, the app works and it gets the job done, but it's not the same. And yeah, besides them, I haven't really seen any React Native. And even speaking to devs, I think with Pietro on the show, he mentioned that like debugging in React Native is really hard because it's you can't really debug because you don't you kind it's really hard to tell what's going on underneath since you're not using the native platform. And that's just one thing to consider, or another thing to consider. So with all that being said, there's um there's a lot of reasons you should learn iOS development. And I feel like it's not really gonna go anywhere. Like you see Apple making movements to Swift UI, and the cross platform still has a lot time and development to go. And at the end, I'm not sure if we'll ever get a cross platform because it's always been something that's been talked about since like probably like the last 10 years, like building something cross platform. That way you just have to develop one app and it goes everywhere. But it's a lot more complicated than it seems. So yeah. And then, oh yeah, and the last thing or the first thing I brought up was the AI. I think that AI will, well, I mean, it has all the hype right now in terms of tech, and that's where people are kind of going. And I also think that AI won't replace developers. It would just enhance their what do you call it? Their abilities and make it easier for developers to build. All right, and I just want to wrap up by opening the floor for questions and a few things to note. If you want a free coaching session, a little mini coaching session, we could go through and have a one-on-one and talk about you trying to break into iOS and like the tech industry. And the link to that will be in the description or in the comments. Let me post this. There we go. And make sure you guys check out breakintoios.com and subscribe to the newsletter. I send weekly emails with like tips and advice for breaking into the industry. Do you think objectively going for web is safer path in terms of job opportunities or not? Um, hmm. No, I think well, to be honest, I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be hard regardless if you're trying to break into tech. It's gonna be Yeah, it's just gonna be hard. The thing about web too is like you can learn Vue and then you have to learn React or you might have to learn Angular. Like the frameworks are always changing, right? It's not like you're gonna learn one thing. I mean, it's still web, but it's not like it's set in stone, even when it comes to that. Hey Leslie, hey Ilya, how's it going? Which one is good, Swift or Swift UI? I mean, they're both good. Are you saying to get a job? I mean, you could get a job with either. I really like building in Swift UI, to be honest, and I think we're at a point where you can get a job with Swift UI, especially in like a if you're going to be working with like a smaller, fast-paced company. They're probably already using Swift UI, So yeah, I would definitely go with Swift UI, and of course you will have to learn UI kit eventually. But the way I see it now, like you can start off Swift UI, and once you have a really good grasp of that, learn some UI kit, and you're good to go. Third party app markets coming to next year to iOS. I think I heard something about that. Is that pertaining to like side loading? But Apple likes to fight stuff like that, right? But all right, y'all, we're probably gonna be wrapping up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Is there any other questions? Is Anthony in here? Oh, did Anthony miss the first live stream? Oh, dang. And shout out to Leslie for being in here. Do you think it's easier for a dev with job? Yes, I do. I mean, yeah, because that's what all the job applications say. You need experience. But all right, y'all, we're gonna wrap up the live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you are on the journey to become a developer, keep your head up, keep coding, man, because it's a journey, or women. I used to keep coding, man. And if you want a little book a mini coaching session, the link will be in the comments or in the description. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and enjoy the holidays. We are back with another live stream tomorrow. We are going to be talking about what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I believe we are covering if boot camps are worth it. So I'll see you guys there. Peace.